Hi and welcome to MathHub. Let's discuss the statistics question of 2024 O-Levels Part 2. The frequency table given below provides information related to the number of hires a certain tree will engaged in each week. We have been given with a grouped frequency distribution with number of hires and number of weeks corresponding to that. Part 1. Find the mean number of times the three-wheel was hired a week. To find the mean of a given frequency distribution, we can use two main methods. For both the methods, we are getting full marks. Method 1, by using the equation mean is equal to sigma fx over sigma f, we can find the mean. So for this, we have to determine sigma fx and sigma f. So sigma fx is the addition of the fx column. For that, we have to add a fx column to the table, and here we have another x is the midpoint. Since this is a grouped frequency distribution and we have classes, it is very important to have a midpoint for that class. Quick reminder, if we consider the class 5 to 9, here 5 is the lower margin and 9 is the upper margin. To find the midpoint, we add lower margin to the upper margin and divide the whole thing by 2. So in this case, midpoint is equal to 5 plus 9 divided by 2, and it's 7. Now let's complete this table. For class 5 to 9, midpoint is 5 plus 9 divided by 2, that is 7. Class 10 to 14, the midpoint is 10 plus 14 divided by 2, that is 12. Similarly, let's complete the other values also. After completing the x column, now we can move into the fx column. So the fx column is the multiplication of the f column and the x column. 1 times 7 is 7. Similarly, let's complete the fx column. Now let's take the addition of fx and f column. By substituting the values for sigma f and sigma fx for the equation mean is equal to sigma fx over f, we can obtain the mean. We have got the mean as 25. Before moving into part 2, let's go through the assumed mean method, which is more convenient for larger values of a frequency distribution. Here, mean is equal to assumed mean plus sigma fd over sigma f. So as for the equation, we have to get sigma fd. For that, we have to have a fd column. D is the deviation. To calculate the deviation, we have to have another column, and deviation is equal to x minus the assumed mean. For that, we should have the midpoint column. Okay, let's complete the table. In this method, we have to choose an assumed mean out of the midpoints. So here we have 7, 12, 17 and up to 37. I would choose 22 as the assumed mean. Now I have selected 22 as the assumed mean, so I would calculate the deviation. Deviation is the difference between the midpoint we are considering and the assumed mean. So assumed mean is 22. If we consider the first class, So the deviation here is 7 minus 22, that is minus 15. Similarly, let's complete the other columns. 12 minus 22 is minus 10. 17 minus 22 is minus 5. 22 minus 22 is 0. 5. Now let's complete the FD column. Here we have to multiply F with D. 1 times minus 15. We know that the mean is equal to assumed mean plus sigma FD over sigma F. For that we have to find sigma FD and sigma F. So using the column FD, if we get the arithmetic addition, minus 15 minus 30 minus 20 plus 0 plus 25 plus 70 plus 60 gives us plus 90. If we consider the frequency column, we get the addition 30. Now let's substitute for the equation. Mean is equal, assumed mean is 22. 22 plus sigma FD is 90 over sigma F is 30. If I simplify this further, I get mean is equal to 25. So now it's clear from both the methods we got the same answer, and for this particular question, simplifying this using the first method is more simple because we don't have any large values in the frequency distribution. But if we get any large values, we can use the method 2, assume mean method, which is more convenient for the questions with larger values. Now let's move into part 2. Part 2. How many hires can the three-wheel driver expect in total in 52 weeks? In part 1, we calculated the mean number of hires per week is 25, and using that data we can calculate this. In part 1, we found that the mean number of hires for a week is 25. So for 1 week it's 25. Therefore, for 52 weeks, we multiply 52 by the number of hires per week. That is 52 times 25. It's 1300 hires. Using part 1, we calculated the number of hires for a week. The mean number of hires for a week is 25. For 1 week it's 25. Therefore, for 52 weeks, we multiply the mean by 52 to get 1300 hires. Part 3. Let us take that the average distance of a hire is 5 kilometers. If the three-wheel driver charged a fee of 100 rupees per kilometer, what can he expect as his income for 4 weeks? The average distance of a hire is 5 kilometers. He charges 100 rupees per kilometer. And the question is, what can he expect as his income for 4 weeks? Before calculating for 4 weeks, let's calculate his income for 1 week. And even before calculating his income for 1 week, let's calculate his income per hire. So if we have the value per hire, we know that he have 25 mean number of hires per week. So we can multiply it by 25 to get his income for 1 week. And finally, we can multiply 1 week by 4 to get his income for 4 weeks. Income per hire is, he travels a mean of 5 kilometers and he charges 100 rupees. he get 25 hires per week. $25 from one hire he get 500 rupees. ₹12,500. So this is for 1 week. For 4 weeks, for 1 week he get 12,500. That is being multiplied by 4 to get 50,000 rupees. Therefore, his expected income for 4 weeks is 50,000 rupees. Part 4. What is the minimum number of times the three-wheel may have been hired in total in the weeks in which the number of times it was hired was less than 20? We have to find the minimum number of hires that have been hired in total up to less than 20, up to 20. Okay, so here I have the frequency distribution. Okay, we have the values from 5, starting from 5 up to 39. As for this question, we are only considering the values less than 20. Okay, so 5 to 9, 10 to 14, 15 to 19. We are just considering values up to here. From here onwards, that is more than 20, therefore we don't consider that. So this is the considered range up to 20, less than 20. Okay, the minimum number, and we have to get the total. We have 3 classes representing up to 20: 5, 9, 10, 14 and 15, 19. We have to get the minimum number of each class, the minimum possible number of each class. So if we consider the class 5 to 9, what is the minimum possible number of hires? So this is up from 5 hires up to 9 hires. It is obvious that 5 is the minimum possible value here in this class. If we consider the class 10 to 14, it is clear the minimum possible is 10 number of hires. If we consider the class 15 to 19, it is very clear that the minimum number of hires possible is 15. Okay, so what we have to do is we have to consider that from each of these class a minimum number of hires were taken, and we have from each class we get the total number of hires, and then here we have 3 classes. We have to get the total for 3 classes. Okay, let's consider the first class, the class 5 to 9. The minimum number is 5. Here we have the minimum number, and number of weeks, the frequency is 1. I will just put a F there. If we consider the class 10 to 14, the minimum number is 10, and the frequency and the number of weeks is 3. If I consider the class 15 to 19, minimum is 15 and the frequency is 4. Okay, now to get the total, I would multiply the minimum with the frequency. So if I consider the class 5 to 9, we have 5 number of hires 1 week. So the total here is 5. If I consider the class 10 to 14, we have minimum 10 number of hires and we have 3 weeks. So 10 hires, 3, that is 30. If I consider 15 to 19, the minimum is 15 and the frequency and the number of weeks is 4. 15 times 4 is 60. 5 plus 30 plus 60 gives us 95 hires, and that is the answer for this. So the question was, we had to find the minimum number of times the three-wheel may have been hired in total less than 20. So first of all, we marked the range less than 20. We got 3 classes, 5 to 9, 10 to 14 and 15 to 19. And from each class we considered that a minimum number of hires were taken. So the first one was 5, the second one was 10 and the third one was 15. We multiplied that number from the frequency to get the number of hires for each class, and we finally added those 3 classes together to get the total. So with this we have completed discussing the statistics question of 2024 O-level mathematics. If you have any questions regarding, you can put in the chat box. Thank you.